Bop, bop, bop. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast, number 1531. And tonight we have a very special guest, Alex Nahle, who is on here. He is a real estate broker, a real estate investor. But I have to tell you, this guy has a huge, huge passion for what he does because he loves helping people live their best life now. So, Alex, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Helen. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we're going to kick you off with a question now. We just mentioned that you're passionate about helping others learn about things, and you're passionate about teaching them teaching them to learn about or start investing in real estate. What is it about what you do that helps them to live their best life now?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Thank you so much. As you mentioned, I'm truly passionate about people in general, simply because I feel that, growing up, I didn't have the opportunities, or I wasn't given the chances to be able to do what I really wanted to pursue. So, with that said, being at the level of work that I do, I always pursued and looked for people that had good work ethic, good characteristics, generally good human beings, right? And then I would, invest the time and effort into mentoring them, coaching them, and teaching them whatever it is, whether, in prior industry coming from the automotive or now in real estate. I work very closely with them to, bring the best out of them, right? And nowadays, what I've realized is, in management, a lot of people look for others with experience just because they don't have the time or the know-how to actually train or teach somebody how to do the job. So I took it upon myself to, maximize that opportunity that I saw, and I did the complete opposite. So again, I looked for people, good quality people, and I invested the time and taught them, the business. As far as real estate in general, I by holding people's hand and guiding them, whether it's a client, helping them buy or sell a property, or an aspiring agent or an investor, there's always fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with me, one thing, I built my business on transparency and trust. And that I figured out that when you work with someone that wants to work with you because of who you are, rather than you're just another realtor or another person in this industry, I learned that the experience for all parties involved is just a pleasure altogether, right? So the philosophy that I follow is, it's not how much business you do, but it's how you do your business, and just ensuring that you provide that exceptional experience to the other party, and not thinking, it's a selfless approach to doing business.
I love that, and I like the thing that you turned around and said that that you work with them based on their attitude, because you can't teach people their attitude, but you can teach them skills.
That's
And so
exactly right.
I love that. Hire was what are those that they say? Hire on attitude and train the skills, or something. There's some saying out there about that, and I love that.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you got the transparency there helps build the trust factor too. So it helps people feel more comfortable in what they're going to be doing, because real estate investing is not a small thing to get into. There's a lot of money involved with that, and a high trust factor.
It is, and as I mentioned, there's a lot of fear behind it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the uncertainty, the unknown, and people that don't have the experience necessary, they're afraid to put their hard-earned money, and rightfully so, right? They're afraid to put their hard-earned money into investing in a property or buying a property. So I consider myself an investor-friendly realtor. So not only that I help, others invest, but I invest in real estate myself. So I made, a lot of good and bad decisions, and you grow and you learn from that. And I try to teach people from, the past, whether it's something good that I did or a mistake that I did, this way to try to have them avoid that. So with me, I started investing in real estate. My first property that I purchased was May 2000. And it was the best decision that I made. And I got some advice from my older brother that mentioned to me, we were partnering up and opening a used car dealership together, and I was at the age of 19. And he told me that, the best thing we can do at this time, rather than leasing the property, is going ahead and buying it. Because if the business fails, we're going to be okay because we own the property. And it still resonates in my head until now. And then looking back at 19, I was like, how did I do that? Right? There's a lot of different ways. If you really, overcome the challenges of like, oh, this is not possible, and so forth, and just, be focused and be determined. I realized that, at the age of 19, I was able to, get money from private money lender, right, from family,
Mm-hmm.
and then the balance of the purchase was seller financing, and that's how I acquired the property. And many years later, with a lot of macroeconomic issues that came about, the business did not, go too long, and we ended up leasing the property, and then years after that, we sold it for a very healthy profit. So when you own real estate, you really can't go wrong, especially with the right guidance in place.
Well, I like the fact that you guys, when you're looking at doing the used car, that you went ahead and bought the property, because if, like your brother said, if the business fails, you still have the property, and you can turn around and lease it and live off the income, and have that income coming in as well. Very smart decision to make.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to something that you said earlier. You turned around and said that you had dreams as a kid about what you wanted to do, but you didn't have the ability to do that. What were some of those dreams that you had as a kid, and are you realizing those dreams now, or have they changed over time?
Yeah, so initially, again, I was young. I fell in love at a very young age, and I got married young, and I had to work really hard. And I was going to school, attending college, working 2 jobs, and I had a passion for computers, computer networking. So that's what I was doing in school, and I learned by asking questions how to take computers apart, put computers together. I started building networks and network security and so forth. And I wanted to get a job that's not necessarily at a gas station, because that's what I was doing at the time. I was, a gas station attendant, and,
Oh, I've been there, done that.
washing cars, repairing tires, and so forth and so on. And it was fun. However, I wanted to pursue a degree, and I wanted to get into banking, right? So I wanted to become a bank teller, which is an entry level position. However, for some odd reason, I could not get a job as a teller. And, I was told that I was overqualified, which, I didn't really buy that. But then it came to me that, it's not what you know, it's really who you know. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I did enter the automotive business and I moved up in the chain of command and became in management, I wanted to provide others that opportunity. So, being in the car dealership, in automotive, and in the dealership world specifically, it's hard to get in without any past experience. So I
Mm-hmm.
was in the service department arena, and I would look for quality technicians. And again, if you get technicians from other dealerships, they probably let them go for a reason, right? So you want to avoid inheriting other people's problems, or hiring somebody with their own baggage. So what I did is I used to go to UTI, which is like a school that educates
Mm-hmm.
technicians and so forth, and I would recruit and hire people from there that wouldn't have the opportunity to get into a dealership otherwise. And I would train them, and people do really appreciate it. When I left the automotive business, one thing that I had in mind is that I never had a fear for someone to take my job. I always thought, like, if I can promote somebody, or if somebody can take my position, shame on me if I don't move up the scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I never had that fear in place. I was always very optimistic, and I always wanted to help people move up. And now, I look back and I see, it just to share with you a quick story. When I first got into automotive, I got into retail, which is Pep Boys Automotive. Okay. And the person that hired me about 20 years ago or more, I lost track of time now. Um, Ironically, I hired him 15 years later, and he became my assistant. And then when I left, he moved up as a manager. So it's like, it's awesome how the world goes around, and
Mm-hmm.
you just help each other and you grow together. And that's really what life is all about, providing others an opportunity, and it pays dividends.
I remember when I got my very first job after I left the military, because I went straight from high school into the Royal New Zealand Air Force. And so my very first job I got once I got out of the military was as on a help desk for a computer company. And one of the things that my new boss told me was that always look for and train your replacement. So I was always like making friends with everybody in the company and knowing those that had the positions that they had that they could step into my job, and started like working with them and training them to see if they had the aptitude to handle a help desk, because we were all phones at that point, on phones and computers, and I'm typing stuff in and dispatching engineers out, software engineers to go do that stuff, hardware engineers to go do that stuff. But always, they said, always be on the lookout for your replacement and train them before they're needed. So
That's so true. And one thing that I want to add on that, and I realize in today in working with newer agents, or anybody wanting to come into an industry, is they're afraid, like, okay, how am I going to build my business? I don't know anything. I don't have a reputation, or I don't have experience, and so forth. I learned this years and years ago in automotive when I started, is like, when I was asked, I knew one thing, that be honest and transparent. And if you don't know the answer to something, just be honest about it. And what I told people, and I learned this, long ago, is that, I don't necessarily know the answer to everything. However, I surround myself with the right people that do. And I just took that and ran with it. And that's how I, mentor and coach my team now, is that, one is, you shouldn't know everything, and you shouldn't pretend you know everything. Leverage the people around you, your network, your team, and that's how you grow. It takes time, but just be transparent, be honest. People are going to be respectful, right? If you're going to make a promise to somebody, let's say, in cars, your car is going to be ready at a certain time, make sure it's ready either at that time or sooner. That's really what it's all about. You don't have to have the answers to everything, but you do want to surround yourself with the right people that do.
That's the Henry Ford philosophy. If you go
There
back
you
and
go.
go back and look at the Henry Ford thing, he actually took, I think it was the Chicago Tribune. I can't remember the name of the newspaper, but they basically called him an idiot and said that he didn't know anything, and so he sued them for defamation. And they go, well, can you? And they asked him all these like stupid questions. And he goes, what do I need to know that for? And he says, I've got a button, if I need to know that, I'll just press this button on the phone, and I can get this person on the phone, and they can give me the answer if I want to know that information. That's not where I like. And he was basically talking about exactly what you talked about. Surround yourself with the people who have the answers that you need when you need them, and rely on, you've got your own brain, you know what to do, and, you're competent enough that, I don't know the answer to this. Let me go find out, or find somebody who can find the answer for me. And I think that a lot of people are sort of like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then they don't do anything. You go, well, what are you going to do? And they're sort of like, well, I don't, I'm working on it. Well, what are you working on? Because they're too afraid to admit that they don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And
what I realize also is that, if a client or someone is not gonna really, appreciate that you're being honest and you don't know the answer, and you're gonna go look for that answer, then it might be the person that you shouldn't work with anyways, right? You have to find that right fit. And going back to living your best life now, and how I go about that, and how I teach others to go about that, is finding the right fit for you, right? As a realtor, as an investor, when a client wants to hire me, I interview them as well as they interview me. I need to know that I'm going to be able to provide you what you're looking for. I have to get an understanding of what you need, and if I can provide you the solutions to that, and then we're a good fit, then great, we'll work together. So I look for people that want to hire me because of who I am, rather than, again, I'm just another agent there, because the experience is not going to be fun. So I learned not to chase after deals. It took me a while to do that, but it was a mindset shift. And you really have to be detached, completely detached from the outcome. And it just makes life so much better. Again, it goes back to not how much business you do. It's just it's how you do your business. That's really what it's all about.
What's that saying? Divorce the results and marry the process. I
There
think
you
that's
go.
the saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
One that Casey says quite a few times is, divorce the results and marry the process.
I've heard him say that.
He comes up with some very wise sayings.
Yep.
There was something else I wanted to go back and talk. I didn't write it down. Nope, we'll just find another question to go on with. So living the best life. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about, is that the fact that you are not only a realtor, but you also have the ability to do real estate investments and you know about those, which makes you more valuable for the clients, especially if they're looking for rental, if they're working for properties that they can rent, they can turn into Airbnbs or whatever, invest in some ways. And I think that makes it very important, because I know there's been times when back when my husband was still alive, there was times that we would go and we'd talk to realtors about looking for investment properties, but they didn't invest themselves, which provided a hurdle because they didn't know all the ins and outs of investments. They knew it from a textbook level, but not from a practical level. And we were looking for the practical level experience. So I think that makes you more valuable when, as a realtor, you can, realtor. I got to remember it's only 2 syllables, not 3. Casey will slap my hand. That you also do the investing. If you're gonna help people find investment properties, you better be investing yourself, because then you know all the pitfalls, you know what to look out for, you know what to advise them on, and things like that too. And that's one thing that I loved about the with Ashley when I was working with her to find. We had so much. We went from looking for a rental property, a rent to buy situation, to looking for a property to buy, to looking for a rental property, and that's how she helped me find this place. But it was the fact that she had the knowledge of all of that, those different pieces, that made it easier for decisions, because she was able to tell me about the pros and the cons of things. And well, maybe if we'd look at it doing it this way, we could do this. And she also knew a bit about on the finance side as well. So we were able to talk financing, about how we could work the financing with seller finance, or loans, and all of the different types of loans that are out there, and all of that sort of stuff as well, which made it more valuable for me, because I had no clue what I was doing. I have never purchased a house. I did help Brad pick out a house to purchase. That was way back before we got married. He was building a house, so we helped with that. But I had never purchased a house, so I didn't know all the ins and outs of it. And so she was able to take me by the hand and just walk me through the process. And when we kept changing strategies and things, she'll take that hat off and put the next hat on, and off we'd go on that one. And she has been through all these different processes, so she knew exactly what she was talking about. And that's what makes a really good agent, is when they can turn around and say, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it just makes
no matter how many times you've done it, it's you were probably overwhelmed when you were going through the process, and a lot of emotions and anxiety that you're feeling through the process. Am I wrong?
I lost count of the number of houses that we went through.
See, there you go. So with my experience, every property that I get into, there's always those feelings, right? But then with experience, it mitigates it and so forth. So you have to really get an understanding of that client's needs.
Yes.
If they're buying or investing, why, what's their risk tolerance? You really have to get in tune with them, be very empathetic with them, versus thinking of your interest. How much am I going to get paid out of this transaction, and so forth. So for me, it was very easy to, I wasn't distracted. I learned long ago, don't focus on the dollar, don't focus on the money, don't focus on what you're going to get out of it. Focus on the client's interest. So always putting the client's interest first. Then, it becomes so satisfying when the client is, at the end of the process, and then they're going to refer you. So that's how I built my business, based on trust and referral. And if I'm going to, do a client wrong, then that's going to, shorten the lifespan of my business. So it just doesn't work out that way. And just like you mentioned, with experience, making the mistakes, you live and you learn, and you allow other people to avoid that. And, that's having that advantage is great for the clients that I work with.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you mentioned that you put the client's needs first and not the dollars. That doesn't apply just in your business. It applies across the board for any business, especially if there's commissions involved, because people can get fixed on, oh, well, I'm not going to do this because this only gives me this much commission. I'm going to push them over here because I'll get this much commission. Yeah, no.
And unfortunately, not everybody does that, though. Right?
From the travel industry, trust me, I have seen it time and time and time again. And it just breaks my heart when people are forced on ship that's not the right ship for them.
And some of the first clients that I got when I first got into this business are clients that got rejected from other agents or lenders. Oh, you can't, this is not going to work out because it's a challenging situation. I love challenging situations, because it's just so satisfying and rewarding. And I have multiple clients that I still have relationship with them until today, that they just could not get their home. Like I have a client that was renting her entire life,
Hmm.
and I helped her buy her first home,
How
and
awesome.
she was very, very, very satisfied and appreciative of it. And that's truly what gets me up every single day. There's I mean, a lot of people shy away from that because of the challenge of it. For me, it just attracts me. The easy transactions are great, right? There's nothing wrong with that. However, the ones that are challenging, knowing that somebody else could not do it and I was able to do it, that just is amazing.
That's a feather in the cap, isn't
There
it?
you go. Feather in the cap.
Well, this has been so awesome. And Alex, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and be with us for this 20 minutes that we've been on air. I truly appreciate it. And the wealth of knowledge that you have is just amazing. And I can see why you and I had such a great conversation the other day, because we align on so many different levels, even though we're in completely different industries. But there's just those core values, those core base foundational things, like taking care of the client before you take care of yourself. Or taking care of the client and not worrying about the money that's coming behind it. Yes, the money does come into it, but it's taking care of the client first. What are their needs? What is it that they're looking for? And helping them find what they're looking for, rather than thinking, oh, well, if I push them over this way, I'll get more commission. It kind of has what they want, but not really. So I love the fact that you and I are on that same level of the client comes first, and what they need, that's what we're going to work with. And taking
And
on
really
those
having an
challenges.
abundant mentality too, it's like
Yeah.
there's plenty of opportunities out there.
Hmm.
Don't try to, hit a home run from one client. It's about the relationship and,
Absolutely.
creating that business, building your business. Bless
Thank you. No, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Alex, for coming on and sharing with your knowledge. I can see your passion. I can feel your passion. I love it. We look forward to having you come. You've got an open invitation to come back anytime. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We truly appreciate it.
I look forward to it, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I really
Oh,
enjoyed it.
my pleasure. And to everybody else, hope you've enjoyed the show this evening. We will be back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, Connor.